Welcome to Sip, Sell, Repeat, the real estate podcast for women who know success is best served with a great cup of coffee or a well-earned glass of wine. I'm Dr. Cynthia Tant, your go-to real estate expert, here to help you navigate the market with strategy, style, and a little bit of fun. Whether you're flipping your first property, scaling your portfolio, or just dreaming about your next big move, this is the place for you. So grab your drink of choice, settle in, and let's sip, sell, and repeat our way to success. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. I am Cynthia Tant with Sip, Sell, Repeat, and I have the honor today to bring you Marki Carlson from Beyond. Now, I'm going to let her explain a little bit about that, but she has a degree in strategic customer service. No, that's what you are, strategic customer service manager at Beyond, but your degree was in hotel, restaurant, tourism management. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And so now how we've met is in a couple of conferences that have to do with B&B management and about revenue and the numbers game, and how she's excited, I think is the word she's used, to be in this world again. I'm not sure about that on my standpoint, but she is pretty excited and is very good at it. So, Marki, tell us a little bit about you and Beyond, and let's get started. And then we'll share some ideas with the ladies here that want to learn more in this for their particular businesses.
Yes, perfect. Thanks, Cynthia. I'm so excited to be here. This is a really exciting industry, always growing, always changing. So it's awesome to be able to come in and be able to talk about it, because I feel like a lot of people don't know these possibilities that are out here when it comes to branching out in businesses with vacation rentals. I know they're called bees a lot, vacation rentals. Some people call them short-term rentals. But yeah, a little bit back into my background of how I got here. Not only having the degree really helps, but my minor is in yield management, which is the old term for revenue management. And those who aren't familiar with revenue management, it is the algorithm and the piece of the equations that we use to use supply and demand to make rates go up and down, change by day of week, event factors, so on and so forth. That's what I've been doing for quite a while. And I'm now working for the software companies that make these algorithms pieces, revenue management tools for vacation rentals. So it is very exciting. And I came from hotels first. That's why I'm excited to be back in vacation rentals, because I was in the hotel space, which may feel like not only in hotels, and it's the same in vacation rentals, real estate, I feel like seems like a good boys club sometimes, that these women,
Yeah.
yeah, it really is. So that's why it's exciting to be able to speak to women and be able to talk about our career paths and how we can help each other in here. So what I do now as a strategic customer success manager with my background in revenue management, I am able to help customers use our tool properly to make the most money possible. Because there are things that within settings, because I always call our tool that we use, it's like a participation sport. You have to be in there, you have to work with the tool. If you're not working in sync, sometimes you can cost you, I don't want to say always cost you money, but you're not making the most money possible. And that's the name of the game. That's why people are in business, whether real estate or in vacation rentals or in both or hotels, whichever you're doing. You're there to make money. So that's what I do. I meet with my customers regularly. We look at their market trends, we analyze the data and what it's telling us, and use the tool to help make the most money possible. And data will come in here a lot, and I will talk about using data quite a bit today, because that's what we use now to make smart decisions. We don't just guess at what we think this is going to help. A lot of times, yeah, that's how we got to where we are. We used our gut feeling and took a leap of faith and it worked. But a lot of times we can make the smartest decisions and get ahead of the market by using the data that we have available, which is what a tool that I work with is really helpful in. And that's how I got here. This is what I do on a daily basis. I love meeting with my customers, talking. I'm a very social person. And so this is the best of all the worlds in there. And I work with anybody, as far as I've worked with small accounts that have 10 to 20 listings that they rent. And then I work now with more of the larger accounts that have 1,000+ listings, and anywhere in between, and any walk of life, from somebody who's just got into the business by accident. I do work with quite a few realtors who also have their vacation rentals as a side piece of their business. So they're the realtor, they're the broker, they do all this stuff. And then they also have exclusivity into the market too with their vacation rentals. So they're buying and selling these homes, but also managing them as rentals for their customers. And it's really great, I think, when realtors do get into this business because they know the homes, they know the locations, they know the amenities. It makes for a really like harmonious business model. And then also that you get the insights, you get to know the people, they get to trust you. They trust you to buy, sell their home. They'll trust you to manage it for the most part. Not always, but it seems to work for the people that I work with
Hopefully, for the
doing
most
this.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
the most part, yeah. And it's really nice where with our tool and in the past and tools I've worked with, that having this data not only helps buy, sell it, but managing it too. And then managing expectations. If you do know that your customer is going to be using this as a second home, but also as they're using it as an investment property to start using it for as a B&B or vacation rental, what have you, you can provide them the most accurate data possible as far as what they can expect for how much it's going to be occupied. What is the busiest times? What is the average revenue that you can make off of this? Instead of, I see on TikTok all the time these ads for start your own rental business, rent out your house and make all this money. Well, that's not all the data and facts. Like that's just telling you, yeah, you can do it. But if you come in with unrealistic expectations in this, I've seen time and time again where people I work with are coming to me, this owner, they want to change these rates because they need to make this mortgage payment. And if
Yeah.
they don't make this mortgage payment, they can't keep it. It's like probably wasn't a good investment for them then
Just
because we can't
started.
always, yes, we can't always
No.
guarantee this is going to happen. So also having this back knowledge too, to advise your customer of, hey, maybe this isn't, yes, this is great and maybe a goal into the future. But if you're looking to make a minimum payment of blank, if you can't cover that mortgage, maybe this is more in your range so that, you're setting them up for success as well, because
Well,
when they're
I
successful, you're successful.
yeah, and from the real estate perspective, I totally agree with that because when I first, oh gosh, 3 or 4 years in the B&B business, short-term rentals, I was just set a price, let it ride, not deal with it. And
Yes.
I know I lost a lot of money because of that, because there may be open things that we shouldn't have, or there should have been events that should have been priced differently, and especially in
Yes.
Pensacola, because we have constant events going on. So
Mhm.
when you, from a standpoint of, I know you're with Beyond, but you've been with other companies. When you
Yeah.
have talked to real estate agents who do get into the B&B market, who want to help their clients invest with them, how do you approach by talking about that dynamic process, that dynamic tool that you're using? Because I've
Yeah.
seen the differences now, but from coming from your perspective, how can you explain that to an agent who maybe want to get involved in it or has their own investments that they want to possibly not only sell to other investors, but also get themselves involved in the whole process? What would you explain that? How important is it to
Yeah.
have that dynamic pricing tool?
I always say it's super important. Not only is it important to make the right decision, because this is a supercomputer behind this with data scientists who have set up these algorithms. They're a lot smarter than I am. I
Sure,
was
you do.
in the same boat in early in my career as a revenue manager. I was doing this. I was thinking of a rate in my head and I posted it and I left it. And until like maybe I was paced behind, whichever, and then I changed it. Am I the smartest person? No. Is this computer smarter than me? Absolutely. Can I use my knowledge in whichever? So that's where I start is I can't be smarter than this computer. I can't pick up on trends because you're busy. You have another business, you're running a business. You can't be watching these rates all day, every day to make a change when, you know, Taylor Swift's concert got announced and now all of a sudden everything around this area is selling out. You want to be on that too. You want to be on that train of raising your rates just as fast as possible to make the most money. So that's why I recommend too. It's not only is it going to be smarter than you, it's going to be faster than you, and it's going to save you time. You're not have to every time when I was starting out in my career and I had to change, kind of like you were, you set the rates and you left them. Anytime I wanted to be dynamic and change them, I spent hours going in
Sure, yeah.
and manually changing every rate. That was time that I could have been doing other things, time you can be taking off, going on vacation. So it's not only it's smarter, it's faster, it gives you time back. So that's always what I say. And it is an investment. It's not free, but
Correct.
also to investing in it, I will gladly pay $5 to get $50 back any day. So
Uh,
that's what I tell people in there, especially if you're newer to this industry or into the vacation rental space, you don't know what you don't know. And this is a great way to learn things that you don't know, as far as we can assume we know these travel patterns, but we can see on the back end the market is performing higher here. I wouldn't have guessed that was busy. That's what I get a lot of times where people are like, I can't believe we got that rate for that day. And we're like, we saw a trend uptick in the market, so we raised the rate. And they're like, I didn't know about that. So it's things like that where it catches it, that it's just like you don't know what you don't know. And these are things to help you understand the trends and not have to fumble in the meantime of trying to learn it and trial and error. It gives
well,
you that back end.
yeah, the time is the biggest component of it, is like going in there and doing the research and trying to figure out and then go, I can let a computer do that. Again,
Yeah.
it's smarter than I am. When I know
You're a
real
pretty
estate is
smart lady.
so, yeah, well, the real estate is so location based. We know location. My properties, I did a quick TikTok thing on pricing in Pensacola Beach versus Miami Beach. There's not even a comparison. It's like totally different worlds. But
Oh my gosh.
people
Yeah.
go to Miami for specific reasons and they're at Pensacola for specific reasons. And then when you look at the price points, I ran some numbers and I go, these numbers are not right. I was trying to do it myself to figure it out, like $1 million average in Miami and 850 in Pensacola Beach. Oh no, that is not right. Something's wrong with the numbers, because they were incorporating the general area of Miami along with Miami Beach. That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So I knew conceptually this was wrong. So once I dug
Yeah.
into it using Beyond and the pricing system and coin and looking at different things, okay, now I can actually be educated when I'm doing my little TikTok thing and comparing or whatever it was. I don't know. My social
Yeah.
media guy puts it out. So who knows where it's at.
Exactly.
But the trends from the market trends, and I know AI is so huge right now, it's just blowing everybody away. But I
Yes.
was talking to a realtor yesterday, and we were talking about when I go in and read the descriptions of the listings, I go, they did not write this. First off, it doesn't even match the house. And they're not even reading back to what they're putting out there. It's just so frustrating. So, from the standpoint of how AI and maybe how it's changing this, the revenue management world, or how we can use it possibly to benefit revenue management. Is that something, I know you guys are all top end and
It
you're
is.
doing all this stuff. How is that changing how you come into the
Mhm.
revenue management world?
Yeah. So revenue management has been using forms of AI for a while before ChatGPT and all these things were available to everybody. We use it's smart learning when it comes to these
Yeah.
algorithms.
Yeah.
So we've been using this for quite a while in this smart learning, but now using AI and we're starting to put AI tools, AI prompts into not really a prompt, but they're AI summaries. So we are able to, and part of our tool is we're looking at a market, we have people enter their filters, criteria they want, and then we create a AI summary for them. We have an AI tool that creates it, which is great because especially if you're trying to summarize these areas by these listing sizes in Miami Beach, you can have AI do it for you. You didn't need to do all that work and whichever, you just
I
plug it
I
into
know.
the tool and you click the AI summary and it's good to go. These are things where we're doing. We're also working on, and we've been getting feedback for also using AI to analyze how these listings are performing and to basically spell it out for people of how they're performing or where improvements can be made or where they're excelling, which also saves so much time on
Fine.
having to find it yourself. And it makes it really easy for a newcomer to come in because they don't need to be an expert. You just need, especially with AI, you just need to ask it the right questions. It can be as simple as which listings do I have that are underperforming compared to last year for Christmas? Boom, it will spell it all out for you. So we're
And
starting
that's
to,
the craziness of it too, and
Isn't
the
that
speed
insane?
with it. Yeah.
It's very fast. Yes. Not only that, but then on the back end too, with our algorithms and things, we are working on using AI to catch any anomalies, be faster on our event detection, look at any trends and using AI to run these. And also too, the nice part about it is now they're making so many advances with AI and like coding that you can use AI on the back end. I know this is pretty technical and really not much to
I
do with
know.
whichever, but we're able to fix bugs faster because we can plug the coding into AI to check for bugs, which is
Oh no.
absolutely
Yeah.
insane. You don't need additional people to be checking this and resources and whichever. So we're able to put out enhancements faster. And that's one thing that some of my customers have commented on. They're like, you've made so many changes. I'm sure, when we were talking to you, we're like, this is new and this is new and this is new.
Right.
We're able to push out things faster from pieces like this. But it's really great, I think, from the user standpoint of just being able to work side by side with the AI in the tool because I even use AI. Sometimes I'll load a graph in there and say,
Mhm.
can you write a summary of what's happening in here? Like what's happening here? Summarize the year-over-year pace for me. And it's great. It's great for that things. And it's not only that, can you analyze the market and changes in market and anything in there? And it's just, I don't have to spend time writing down every data piece and adding my own formulas in. It does it for me. But I'm really excited about the AI of tell me where I need help type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to
To
give it
try to.
specifics. But yeah, but like where am I pacing behind? Or even as far as getting in there and asking which of my listings don't have a minimum rate for summer yet. Oh,
Oh, I didn't
is
think
it?
about that. Yeah, there's a lot of things
Yeah,
you can ask it.
you can
Wow.
ask it on your settings, you can ask it on your performance, you can ask it where you're doing well, you can ask where you're not doing it. Anything you can think of, can do.
So the
And
funny thing is that you just said anything you can think of. So we still have to think to ask the question
yeah.
to have the computer think.
Mhm.
So that's been a challenge too, is some of the questions like it's okay. So what do I need to ask it? And if I want to spit something out to somebody about it, it needs to be also sort of in my
Mhm.
tone of getting it to really talk like me, which I've learned a
Yes.
lot from that standpoint, which I would prefer to have because I'm going to have a different speech pattern and a different than other people.
Yeah.
And so when we think of, I'm learning too. I'm trying to retire out of this business, but I'm learning more that it's, oh my gosh, so much more out there
Yeah.
and just meeting with people and having the background and explaining. So if someone is coming new, or even a person who's been in the field a long time but doesn't use dynamic pricing in their system, what are the key points that they may want to look at to make that decision to go with Beyond or somebody else that does dynamic pricing? But what are they looking for? Because I know a lot of
Yeah.
people that are in property management that are in and they don't use dynamic pricing.
It
So what are
is,
some things? Yeah.
yeah, so it's crazy because coming from, because dynamic pricing started with airlines first. Airlines paved the way for dynamic pricing, and then hotels caught on.
Mm.
And it's only been in recent years that vacation rentals and property management has caught on to revenue management. So it's still a newer concept for some people to be doing this, even though now these softwares are just taking off. And that's where starting out and more on, why leave? Because I've worked with people who are like, I've been in this industry for 20 years and I've been setting these rates and I know the market and I know what I want these rates to be and when I want them to be. I come across that, and especially at
Yeah. Oh,
conferences and
I
out
think I,
in
I
the
said
field.
I said that to you too. I said this does not
Yes,
make any sense. This event is not here, so this price is
exactly.
not right. Yeah.
And a lot of times too, it's just a leap of faith
Yeah.
of it's tried and true. I have actually just ran an analysis for a customer in Destin, in more of that seaside area of Destin,
Yeah. Oh,
and
sweet.
they're outperforming their market by 34%. Like
Oh
it's
my
crazy. So
gosh.
and this is like people who are like a lot of times are like, I can't release control. Like I'm so nervous about it.
Oh, I
But
know.
it's
They don't want to do it.
when
Yeah. Yeah.
when you talk about these stories of, hey, these people were too, and they still were a little hesitant on releasing some control. And it's just give it a little bit. Just even more and more keep trusting it. and see what it does for you. And it's always, like you said, you get that one booking where you're like, I would have never done that, but I can't believe it booked. And like, I always call it the aha booking, where it was like,
Yeah. Oh,
oh,
yeah. Cool.
yeah, like
Uh-huh.
that
Yeah.
does work. And so
Exactly.
will we convince everybody? Absolutely not. But
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's that trifecta of, do you want to save yourself time? Do you want to at least try to make more money? Spend $1 to get two back, type deal. And it's just, and it's a lot of times too, where it's the proof is in the pudding. We have so many markets where people are doing, our average is usually 20% better than the market for people who use our tool. And it's just because of things like of the nature that we talked about earlier. They didn't have time. They didn't catch that this event got announced. They didn't have time, or they were out on vacation when the market started performing better and everybody started raising their rates and they had the lower rates. And so they probably could have got additional revenue per booking on that. So it's, and it's, I think too, making it easier for people. And that's really one thing that we've focused on with our tool in the last few years and all the enhancements that we do is making it more accessible for people who are coming in and new to this industry of explaining what, because we use, and I'm sure you probably had this too when you came in here, there's so many acronyms. We use RevPAR,
Yeah.
ADR, all this.
Yeah.
There's so many acronyms. It's its own language here in the vacation rental business that and you're in, you don't know. So we're writing it out. We have, like I said, we're adding these additional prompts and things just to make it easier to understand. So there's trials. You can connect your account, try it out. And that's what a lot of times what I'll tell people too, where they're just like, I don't know, I don't know. Plug it in, but don't turn it on. You can see what it would do. And like you said, you'll get these ones where you're like, oh my gosh, I would have never done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and I actually had that with somebody the other day too, where they're like, I would have never charged that. I can't believe we got that booking. And I'm like, but are you happy about it?
Yeah.
It was like
Well,
$4,000 for the stay more than they would have charged. And I was like, but it's not that bad.
and the thing too is like, as a property manager of other people's investments and as a realtor who does that, it's a way to show numbers from
Yes.
the consumer standpoint. Like, I'm looking, like you said, I have told just past week, I said, no, this is not an Airbnb investment or B&B investment. This is no, it's not going to make the money you want. I'm just telling you straight out, neighborhood, blah, 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 blah. This is not going to
Yeah.
work. And so I can come with, as a realtor, I can come with the statistics and say, all right, here's the data. Now, I talked to a gentleman who didn't pay any attention to me and he went ahead and did it and then called me back and said, I should have listed. I said, I can't tell
Yeah.
you went and bought it. I told you no, now you're selling it. So I think as us as realtors, and we're looking to gain clients from an investment standpoint or for a second family home or something, we're only going to be
Mhm.
there 3 months of the year, especially being in a vacation rental area, that the revenue management is very important, but it also gives us concrete graphs. It shows
Yes.
graphically for the person who needs to see it, what is happening with what's going on. Where are our numbers from this month, this year, from last year? So it's much more, 25 years ago, didn't have to do this. But now the competition, we have to do this.
There's so much more supply. Yes. There is
Correct.
an insane. And it's so true. And being able to, because I'm sure you gain so much trust in that
Yeah.
person by you telling them the truth. Like,
Right.
and I think the hard part too, a lot of times is I keep hearing my customers are also realtors. They're like, this realtor is telling them that this home's going to make them $1 million.
Yeah.
And it's like, homes in that area haven't seen $1 million since COVID.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
literally the only year. So there's still like some are using old data to work in their favor. And it's like you're just setting that customer up for failure.
Yeah.
Really. And we have all that data too, because we have the market insights and we actually have market data for pretty every market you can think of or every area. And it really makes a difference too, because I had a friend, same thing, her family was looking at going in together and buying a second home to have they wanted it as a second income, but they also wanted it to use it as the family. And they were getting these projections of, oh, we could make this much if we buy a
Right.
home in, I think they were looking at like Coral, whichever area. And
Right.
and they're like, yeah, and I was like, what days do you plan on using it? And they're like, what do you mean? And I said, there's a big difference between making the revenue they projected for you and your usage. And they weren't quite getting it. And I was like, if you use it on all of peak season
Right. Yeah.
and you use
Hmm.
it for 4th of July and you use it
Hmm.
for Christmas and New Year's, you're not going to make half of that. And they're like, we want to use it. And I was like, great. If you wanted a second home with a little bit of income on the side, go ahead, buy it for that. But you're not going to make this projected revenue. If you want to make that projected revenue, you have to give them every peak day. And that's one thing too, where our tool also spells out
Right.
the cost that the owners are costing themselves in nights. Because that's another, I don't want to say this, like, it's to ruffle some feathers.
Yeah.
People buy these
Yeah.
homes expecting these projections that they were given for these rentals. But then they use it all summer
They
and they
during the
use it on
prime
4th of
season,
July.
the weekends,
Yep.
and yeah, with us
And
in
then
the
now
area
all
is
of us,
Blue
yep.
Angels weekend and all this kind of stuff. And he said, no, you're,
Yeah. You can
and
use it,
sometimes,
but don't expect to make the most money possible.
and
Just,
I've lost clients. I said, no, I said, I'm sorry. If you want to go to another realtor, great, but I'm not going to have you invest in this. Then you'd be mad at me because you expected this. It's setting the
yeah,
expectations. I
it
think
is.
that's the main thing is setting the expectations. Now, I know during COVID, I was heavily involved in COVID. It was like crazy here in Florida. Everything rented all the time. It was just full. And it
No
was a
laws.
it was crazy. It was awesome. And we
Mhm.
obviously have slowed down and we've tried to manage those expectations. What are you seeing from the market trends in the future from the standpoint of what you're
Yeah.
seeing? Because you have all of this data you're looking at and you're trying to help us as consumers and as investors and as realtors to also understand that. So what are you seeing as
Yeah.
far as the market is concerned?
So a lot of markets are different. In the
I know they're
US
all
as a
different. Yeah,
whole,
we
they're all
understand.
different. They're all very different. But
Yeah,
what we've
yeah,
seen as a whole, and there has been a decline since COVID,
yeah,
especially in Florida. For example,
yeah,
Florida did amazing in
yeah,
COVID. You could turn around, you could do no wrong. You can put out any
yeah.
price and you'll sell it. There was
It
money
was
for the
nuts.
taking
Yeah.
and it was there. Yes. And then 21 was still pretty good. More things were opening up. So in certain areas it lessened, but in other areas it was booming because people hadn't been able to ski, go on their family ski vacations and this and that. 21 was still great. 22 was still not as great, but it was still riding that high. And then 23 happened, and then 23 was starting to get steady. And then 24, after summer of 24, there was a shift
Yeah.
and things started to decline. And then 25 happened, and 25 has been rocky for the US economically. Everybody's a little
Everything.
afraid of what's
Right.
going to happen. Everything in the And honestly, I've worked in the tourism industry and hospitality through many elections. Election years are always create an anomaly. I don't
Mhm.
know what it is and why people just slow down their travel in an election year, but they do. And now this year, the trends we've seen for 25 so far and from compared to the last few years is booking lead time. So what we're saying is where you
Yeah.
book it versus where you're saying that's a booking lead time. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
aware, but anybody who's not quite
Yes.
aware is that's what a booking lead time is. They're getting shorter. So where people
Yes.
used to book their spring break vacations when the school calendar came out in September, now they're booking in January, February.
Mhm.
And so so it's that also has to do with cash flow. Not only is that booking or
Mhm.
whichever, when somebody books, they pay you. That's
Mhm.
just the way it works. But now that they're
Correct.
not booking as far out, there's that cash flow has changed. So they're not booking as far out. And the other trends we're seeing is ADR, average daily rate, the rate they're paying
Right.
nightly. People aren't, before in COVID, you could charge more and more
Right.
every year. I paid 500, yeah, 700 next year. Fine, we'll book it. That's not the case anymore. Everybody's looking for the better deal, and there's more
Right.
supply in the markets because, yeah, the real estate was booming all during
Booming.
COVID. People were
Exactly.
buying their second homes. There was such low interest that there was a lot of, and so that also affected the supply because the basics of revenue management is supply and demand. And so now there's
Correct.
more supply. Okay, now there's about 50,000 people who travel here at this time, but now there's 100,000 homes versus the 75. It's going to spread it thinner, but
Yeah.
also everybody's looking for the better deal. And there's
Correct.
a lot of supply around to have a better deal. So that rate has gone down. So in order to maintain that same or more occupancy, people have had to lower rates, which I know a lot of owners are not happy about, but if it sits empty, it's worth nothing. So those are the
Correct.
trends we're seeing is like they're not booking as far out, they're not booking at higher rates. And in order to gain that occupancy, the other piece too is almost a thing of the past is like seven night mins, Saturday to Saturdays. People need
Yeah.
flexibility. More people have gone
Yeah.
into office. There's been a lot of job changes in the last few years as far as after COVID, and a lot of people lost their
Mm.
jobs. Now they got new jobs and now they're starting over on their PTO. They don't have weeks on weeks to stay. And that was the other thing in COVID. People were working from home. Yeah, we could rent a
Yeah.
house in Pensacola for a month and
Month.
stay.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm working from home. That's not the
Yeah.
case anymore. We don't have these longer length of stays. We have to be more flexible to get those bookings. So there's been lots of changes, and the changes that we're predicting into the future and that we're still seeing is the same thing. We're getting shorter length of stays. We're also seeing in other markets with the school schedules that are shifting. So for your market, for example, Cynthia, is your feeder markets where people travel to your market from,
Right.
they have now the flex school schedule. They go back late July, early August, and they have more weeks off during the year. So before, where in Pensacola 10 years ago, it was
Right.
busy Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Right. Yeah.
It was packed.
That's
Now
packed. Yeah.
it's busy the second week of May to the second week of August.
And then we're not a really big
And
spring
then
break area because of the panhandle,
no, yeah.
but we do get some in coming in now. And then the special event we have found are just
Yes, and those special
everybody,
events.
it's very
Oh yeah.
good.
And there's
So,
each markets have those, but now it's the
yeah.
other thing that I always because we've had this with Pensacola, we have this with Panhandle and feeder markets in there and other markets too, where they're like, I feel like our seasons are shifting a little. And it's yes, we like look at where your feeder markets, what's their school schedule like? That will make a difference. What
That's a
events
great,
are coming from?
yeah, that's a great
Mhm.
suggestion because I've never thought
Yeah.
about, and I like to call it the SEC region because it's within driving distance. Most of our
Yes.
people come
Mhm.
from within a 5 to 6 hour driving range.
Yes. Yeah. And especially for you guys too, I always say like anywhere from Pensacola down to PCB, watch Atlanta's school schedules.
Really? Oh, great
Hmm.
suggestion.
Yes,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, Atlanta. What about over like in New Orleans and Baton Rouge and I guess
yeah,
Birmingham? But yeah,
yeah,
okay. Atlanta would
yeah.
be the main one. Yeah.
I was gonna say I used to live in Biloxi and we always going down to Pensacola and it was so easy for us and that's really weather dependent because
Yes.
from Biloxi over to Pensacola is only an hour and a half, two
Hour and a
hours.
half. Yeah.
If the weather was nice, hey, you want to go stay? And we'd see what's available within a day or two. So it's a very short booking window, but it's when that weather is nice. And so, yeah, just watching things like that, but also too, but same thing, Biloxi schools, they went back July 31st this year.
Wow.
Like,
I know
so
this.
families
Yeah.
aren't traveling that second week of August anymore to get their last minute family vacation in. They're traveling in July because they got to be
Right.
ready for school August 1st. So
Well,
that's always what I recommend too
that's
is
great. Yeah, that's a great
not
idea.
only will markets change from economic standpoints or
Right.
natural disasters, if Southern Florida
Knock on
has a
wood, no
hurricane,
hurricanes, no
Panhandle,
hurricanes, no
yeah,
hurricanes.
but it always shifts though. If like
Yeah.
Southern Florida has a hurricane, those people are
Right.
still going on vacation, but
Coming.
they're going to travel a little bit north.
They're
They're going to
coming
go to the
up.
Panhandle. Yeah,
Yeah.
those things will change it, but also school schedules. Like, where's your feeder market coming from? So it's always these no's, but like, nice part is back to plugging in with having the data. Data will show you this before you've figured it out. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
then looking at it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to wrap up here because I've held you
No
for a little bit, about 45 minutes here. And I
worries.
know you're a very busy woman. And so if you could give just a couple of highlights and some points to, and again, I know you work with realtors and what you've seen as working with realtors and because I know when I'm talking to my owners and I go, well, hey, the price, I know it's normally $60, but for one night stay coming in when it wasn't going to be filled, it's going to go down to 35. And they go, what? I said, do you want it
Yeah.
to be empty or do you want me to put somebody in it? So I've been using the background charts and everything that I've been able to have access to show them you're actually 15 to 20% above what you were last year because we're filling those empty holes. And they go, okay, this is because they didn't want to know, why am I paying this extra tech fee, which I'm charging them for? And they're going,
yeah, why not?
I said, hey, if I make you $5 and you pay $1, are you okay with that? And they go, okay, we'll do that. But if there's some things that you could just summarize or point out, one or two things that you feel would be very important to that realtor who may be interested in marketing to an investor who's interested in using it as a short-term rental B&B market.
Yes. One thing would be, don't underestimate shoulder seasons. Like you said, those nights that would normally sit empty, if you can sell it, it's worth $0 if it sits empty. Am I saying give it away for nothing? No, because you need to know your clientele. You need to know what's worth it to have it rented, but also just don't bypass those shoulder seasons. That's where you could go from having an average of $50,000 income on that house a year to 70,000. It makes a difference. I have a little saying, funky, but I always think of peak season as it's raining. It's really easy to fill your bucket with water when it's raining. We want to fill that bucket when it stopped raining in off season. And that's the way to do it with things like that, of that night, or being flexible in your length of stay. Don't underestimate those. Also, be realistic with owners. What is really that average revenue on a home like that, with amenities they have in the location they have? So many times people are promised beachfront revenue with something that's 3 miles away from the beach, and it's just and then they also talk to, my neighbor Bob has a home in Pensacola and he's getting 800 a night. It's like, Bob also has a house on the beach and you are in a condo 3 miles from the beach. There is a big between you and Bob's homes, which it's great. You're both in the same city, but so be realistic, be open with them, be honest. Don't underestimate peak season. And then also I'm always be curious. What are other people doing? What's happening in the market? Are people who are performing really well, are they being flexible on some settings? Are they offering beach services? Are they doing whichever? What is it? What is it happening that is this thing? And just by doing the same old, that's not going to get you additional revenue. It's just
changing.
What's happening.
Changing. And Marki, how can anyone watching this podcast, how can they get in touch with you? And basically so that we can get them involved in what you can provide and help them with their profit.
Yes. And also too, for anybody watching, beyondpricing.com. It is free to sign up, and when you don't have to be connected with PMS, but we also have what we call market insights, where I've been saying, like, look at the market, look at the data. We do have a free, absolutely free to anybody. You do not need to have a vacation rental in your portfolio or whichever. You can look at market data anywhere in the world, not just US, not just parts of the US or parts of other countries, anywhere in the world. So it's free. Use these free tools. So beyondpricing.com is the best spot to get a hold of us. And then from Beyond, you can see there's a spot to create a login to access these market insights. Or if you do have a listing that you put on channels that, try not to plug there.
No, that's fine. No, that's okay. That's all right.
You can connect it and not just turn the pricing on to see maybe what it's about, but also to, like I said, explore the market insights. It's free. Why not? You have access to those, Cindy. And like I said, it's really helpful just to see what's going on. And I really like that you were comparing Miami to whichever, because I always tell people, I'm like, look at other markets, because so many times people are like, oh, it's slow here. It's slow here. Look at somebody else, because I bet you the grass is not greener on their side either. But reach out to beyondpricing.com. There's ways to get a hold of us on there. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to answer questions. And I love in this industry too, being able to network with people. You never know who you're going to meet, who is gonna know something, or know somebody, or have a resource, or whichever. So I think networking is very important, especially for women in this industry. I have met some powerhouses at conferences, and just these women are just wealths of knowledge, whether they specialize in revenue management, or I have at VR Nation this year, I met a woman who started a business in COVID with just like 3 houses, and now she's managing 300. It's crazy the things
I
she's done
would
in
not
Canada.
want to do that.
And she loves it. And
I
she's
know.
built this team,
The
and she is an
empire, yeah.
incredible leader. Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's doing so great. And it's all started in COVID. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that was only 5 years ago. It's not something she's met, you know what I mean? So yeah. So meeting people. So yeah,
All
it's,
right. I want to thank you again for taking your time.
of course.
And I'm just going to say, anyways, for those of you who may not know, but you can see in the background over here, Sip, Sell, Repeat Real Estate. I'm Dr. Cynthia Tant, and Marki has helped us understand a little bit about things I never knew about, but really enjoy now because of the stats and everything, the way the dynamic pricing is working. And we want to thank you for being with us from Beyond Pricing.
That's a wrap on this episode of Sip, Sell, Repeat. If you loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another powerhouse woman in real estate. Got a topic you want me to cover? Send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep sipping, keep selling, and keep repeating that cycle of success. Cheers to you and your next big deal.